We'll start with a timely one here. Best flavor of king cake and worst flavor.
Cinnamon's, to me, the best.
Just a classic.
I like a cinnamon like cream cheese situation.
Cream cheese.
Yeah.
I guess cream cheese.
I just like cream cheese.
Yeah,
so.
cream cheese and cinnamon would probably be
Hard to
1 and
beat.
1A. I think when you start really going
Too
real
crazy.
rogue.
Too crazy, yeah.
Too crazy is a bad king cake.
Although I saw someone in the huddle, I think it was Champ yesterday, talking about he had a moon pie king cake, and I've never had one of those, but that sounds very interesting to me.
I want to try the boudin king cake.
That
I've not
sounds
had it yet.
Actually, you know what? That's
I've
what I'm
heard
going to
it's
say.
fantastic.
Savory king cakes, that's going to be worse for me.
I think
had one
it
in the village
depends
the
on
other
if
day.
you make it with the savory in mind, right? If you just take a classic king cake
like a
and
meat
stuff
pie,
boudin in
just
it,
a meat
that's
pie.
bad. But if you do
It is
like
meat
more
pie.
of like maybe like a syrup or something
pie
that would
with
go
sugar.
well, yeah, then you rolling, man.
Let's see. Have you ever spite listened to a show? No. I don't have enough time to do that in
No.
my day.
But I guess Colin Cowherd for a minute.
Like, because you
when
didn't, you listening because you didn't
when
like
it was
it?
accessible.
I
you know what
spite listen
I don't
to
know where
takes
find
on
it.
Twitter.
Yeah,
I spite follow a lot of people.
I'll do that sometimes, but just like listening to shows, like I just don't have time. I don't have time to listen to all the shows I want to listen to, let alone the ones I don't like. Is there a subject or group that a comedian should never joke about? If yes, why do you not understand jokes? All right.
Yeah, no, look, I don't think
Alright.
there is, but that's not a free pass just to say stupid stuff. Like, you have to be deft enough to make it actually funny, because guess what? If your offensive jokes aren't funny and they just come off making you look like a D-bag, well, like, that's on you, and you deserve what you get. So you go down that road. You just have to be good at it.
Well, that's the genius of comedy.
Yes,
Right?
yes,
Being able
exactly.
to make humor of uncomfortable situations. If you can't do that, you should find another profession.
Yeah.
What are you giving up for Lent, or what would you if you were a practicing Catholic? I was going to say having more babies, but that's only a couple months.
My left hand.
That's not a whole year. It's not a New Year's
truly
resolution.
difficult would it be to take sugar out of your diet?
Not that. I mean, well, no.
Yes,
no. It would be difficult.
terribly
But you could
difficult.
do. I guess what I was going to say is you could do it.
I want to try it.
I don't know, because like bread, everything. My mom got into that. It's a grind,
You
but
could
good
do
luck.
it.
You take out just sweets, like
I'm not gonna do it, but if
Yeah.
we're doing the for instance, you know what
Like,
I mean?
you would go
Or-
full sugar?
I would try to take.
Yeah.
I mean,
You could.
That would be a sacrifice for me.
Yeah.
So I think if we're gonna do it, I mean, like,
Has to be
give me
something that
something
is a
that's gonna
sacrifice.
I'm going to
sacrifice.
give up being such a good person, because it's just, it's like I'm just so constantly just everybody's just telling me how good I am.
What would you give up, Palmer?
I have my smartphone, but that's selfish.
Oh.
We give an Android, bro. I mean, that's not really giving it up. It's behind.
Let's see. 2040 and the OTP crew reunion is being held at the party after the Oscars, where Nate just won Best Director.
Yep.
What are the other members of the 1045 staff doing in 2040? And so not just us, the
I
staff.
thought about this. So legislation changes have made Louisiana the next Vegas.
Ooh,
These
I like
changes
that.
were spearheaded by the Oddfather and Charles Hannegriff, so they are currently the kings of Louisiana. They're living fat and happy in these penthouses on top of these mega casinos that they built outside of New Orleans.
What was that? Aruna Kachua when he was spinning the.
Yeah, Reba Arona. Speaking of Lady Moscona, she has finally completed her transition, still hosting AFR. Her and Lee Feinswag still talking about beer, but it's great.
It will have been 30 years at that point, right?
Jacob Hester is the color guy for LSU football, wearing number 18.
Yeah.
And OTB is the number 1 mid-market local morning show.
We're still
in the,
here, yeah.
Still chugging.
Still chugging
Still
along.
chugging.
the nation.
Rivers has 8 kids.
Yeah.
T-Ball's got
Rivers is
another one
still
on the
Rivers
way.
is still pregnant.
Rivers is still pregnant. Oh,
Palmer's
God,
still
I
living in
hope not.
Tigerland.
Let's see. Speaking of being pregnant, what's
Nope.
inappropriate for pregnant women to wear?
Ooh, I'm not answering this one.
No, well, I mean, I don't look unless you're her boss or like there's like some like dress code rules. Nothing. Like you can't tell somebody. I mean, that goes for anybody, not just pregnant people. You can't tell people what they can and can't wear. Like you
Amen.
know, unless
Next
they're
question. I'm
breaking
with you,
some
Riz.
some
I'm
laws
done.
or like you know like whatever.
I'm riding with the pregnant chick on this one.
In your honest opinion, what is one vehicle a man over 40 should never buy?
Again, I'm not trying to gatekeep
I feel like
here.
I feel like over 40, that's when you start buying the crazy cars, right?
Yeah, I mean, traditionally, right? Because that's when you, I don't know, that's
So
when
maybe
you go
a
to your
minivan.
midlife
No, I
crises.
guess then you got kids, so maybe there's like there's a combination of men buying crazy cars and a combination of men buying
I
like
guess
vans.
what we're trying to ask here is what is the
What's a terrible
most
car?
purchased midlife crisis car
Nissan
for a man?
GTR.
A
GTR?
Corvette? A Corvette?
Nissan GTR.
I feel like
Corvette's
a
good, too.
Mazda
I think Corvettes
Miata.
are cool though.
Like everybody who wants to be like they're in a
That's
sports
unfair.
car, but you
Everyone
got to go for
should.
affordable. You get a Mazda Miata.
God, my
Everyone
parents
should
had a
be
Miata,
afforded
like
that.
just like an extra Miata. Like when I was a little bit, it was terrible car. It never ran. I don't
A
know.
little mousetrap.
Yeah, they're tiny.
I mean, like, it's like a
Oh,
go-kart.
you guys don't know what you're talking about. That's a great car. Everyone should be afforded.
Well, I mean,
Look at him. He
Everyone
loves the
should be allowed to
Miata, the
drive a
car
Miata.
guy.
Well,
I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you're
I-
80 years old. As long as you're driving a stick shift Miata, you're cool with me.
well, my Miata was
It's a
not a
great
good
car.
car. It was a bad car. It
Well, it's
never
probably an
ran.
automatic transmission, Rivers.
No, it was a stick. No.
I don't believe
My
you.
Next
That's
question.
fine.
Next question. We're not arguing Miatas.
Well,
No.
okay, it was. T-Bob, what Dungeons and Dragons characters are Jordy and Rivers? Be careful here. I don't know about
no,
Dungeons and Dragons,
me
but
either.
you called me a bard last
This
time.
is
we did
tough.
this.
Well, first off, I am a
Who
bard.
opened this
I am a
can of
halfling
worms?
bard in my current Dungeons and Dragons group, and it is incredible. You're going to see our adventures on YouTube soon. I don't know D&D characters. Like I said, yes, you would be a bard. Jordy, I get maybe like a rogue type of feel from you, doing some damage
that.
in the shadows, kind of behind the scenes a bit. Palmer's a bit more brusque. You would be like a fighter type archetype, more up in your face. Yeah, and I'll be the cleric, just healing everyone.
Two more here. 104.5 hosts and guest hosts as the Donner Party. Who was the first eaten and the last survivor?
I mean, I think that I'm
First heat would
so
probably be Cade.
I'm so narcissistic that I feel like I would be the tastiest, but I also feel like you'd have a lot of trouble
You got a lot
killing
of
me to
meat.
eat me.
You got a lot of
Yeah.
meat there.
Yeah,
You
yes,
know, you
yes.
feed the
I mean,
most amount
who's
of
gonna
people.
corner the big guy?
Like-
Y'all are gonna have to
You
team
know what I
up
mean?
on me.
Like, I mean,
But we're all teaming up.
Yeah, I know.
He's run blocking all of us.
No, I'm saying y'all will get me eventually, but I'm taking a couple of y'all with me, so you're gonna have plenty
Yeah,
to
I
eat.
think you take the person who's going to offer the most meat at first.
Yeah, come on, come get this booty.
I don't know. And then the weakest start to, fall, right?
Just start picking them off.
I don't know who survives, who's the last survivor, but I think T-Bob.
Probably
might be-
Rivers.
Maybe. I'll just be pregnant. Nobody wants to kill the
Rivers.
pregnant lady. Last question. Can we get some info on Palmer? I think this is a good question. Maybe give a little spill, like Lifetime VR. Are you actually a Formula One fan? Why do you do this
Total
job?
Formula One fan. Lived in VR, grew up
Give
here.
us your elevator speech.
I ride a bike all the time. Love riding the bike.
Yeah.
Pretty active.
Skateboarding?
Yeah, skateboarding.
So
that
what do
a
you
lot.
do on days that it rains with the bike riding? Like yesterday.
Just shake my fist in the rain. It usually works.
Wait, can we do the Hollywood blockbuster question?
Oh, yeah, we can.
I have a couple of
Yes,
answers.
you
that I wanna
answer
talk
that one.
about.
If you had a
Text
Hollywood,
your boy and tell him we're a couple minutes.
Yeah.
if you had a Hollywood blockbuster, if you had Hollywood blockbuster money, what obscure historical figure event would you make a big budget movie about?
Okay, I got a few here, and this is the pathway
I
to,
have one, I guess.
to recommend some things.
Joe Burrow.
There is a book, Blitzed, and it is all about drug use in the Nazi regime. You want to know why Blitzkrieg worked? These dudes were using Nazi-made crystal meth, called it Pervitin. The soldiers aren't sleeping. It's crazy, the amount of drugs that Hitler was doing under science. Like, it would be a fascinating movie. So I'd make something on that. There are some Slavs who in the time of Genghis Khan were defeated by the Mongols, sold into slavery to Egypt, and then 10 years later used in Egyptian slave armies to repel the Mongols. How's that for revenge? I think that could be a great movie.
Did you ask this question?
No.
somebody else.
Emil did. And yeah, I think anybody, but if you want to read something crazy, it's really easy to read, really short. Check out Blitzed.
When I was in high school, I did a really big thing on James Meredith, who is an American civil rights activist, author. He got kind of famous because he was the first African American student at Ole Miss, which was a huge deal. There was a lot going on. But then he read that I wrote a thing about him, and he invited me to all this stuff.
No
And
way.
yeah. So he's a very cool guy. But a lot of people don't know about him, and I think he would be a cool one to do a movie. He's kind of
James-
obscure for people who aren't from Mississippi.
James Audubon, the famous bird watcher in St.
yeah.
Francisville. My dad had a construction company when I was coming up, and like when I would get in trouble, that's why I'm not handy at all in any sense of the way. I mean, I come from a construction family,
Yeah.
and I can't put a light bulb in.
You can chop wood, though.
Is because they used to serve it as a consequence. If I got in trouble, they'd send me out of the construction site. And I spent a summer at the Audubon Museum out in St.
Oh, wow.
Francisville, which was
Awesome.
incredible. It was awesome, and learned a little bit about the dude, James Audubon, and he was a really
Yeah.
we'd have hung out.
Yeah.
We'd have hung out for sure.
Watch some birds.
Bird watcher, big bird watcher.